What is going on, y'all? And welcome back to the Locks DFS NHL Breakdown. I'm your host, Narang, and I'll be breaking down this 4-game main slate on DraftKings and FanDuel for Wednesday, March 6th. Before I get into that, though, if you guys could go ahead and leave a like and comment on this video, not only would it mean a lot for me, but you'll be entered into winning a free season pass of your choice. As always, we run the same giveaway every single week, where we just like to give back to our most active viewers, watchers, members, people leaving likes, people leaving positive or constructive criticism, comments, and we will hook you up as a little way of saying thank you, a token of our appreciation. So go ahead and do that to be entered in that giveaway. And with that being said, let's jump into the slate, or we can talk about yesterday's slate. Yesterday's slate was crazy with that Colorado smash at the end. I was probably losing a couple of my head-to-heads on FanDuel by like 50-plus points with like a minute left in that Colorado game, and those people full faded Colorado. So getting that Tyson Barrie goal from Mikko and Mac, and then the Mac overtime winner from Mikko, that and the Varlamov win. Crazy, absurd amount of fantasy points in the last like 2 minutes of the slate, which was awesome. So we'll definitely take that. Definitely thankful Colorado got there and hit the over on that game at 6.5. So cool night. But let's jump into this 4-game slate because it's a real nice slate. So starting at the top, we have obviously the same Toronto guys at center. Can go with either one of them as a great option. I always tend to prefer John Tavares, just averages more individual high danger chances for, and he's much easier stackable with Mitch Marner. Makes for more just a better stack in my opinion, a stack that's more likely to get there than Austin Matthews is with Kasper Kapanen or Andres Johnson. So always tend to lean John Tavares, but I think the guy I probably prefer the most actually in this range is Sean Couturier. The news here is that Nolan Patrick is day-to-day right now for Philly. Not sure if he's going to play. It looks like he probably will, but regardless, he's going to center this third line with Van Riemsdyk and Hartman. And so this first line with Couturier, Giroux, Lindblom, the clear number one line in Philly. Couturier and Giroux correlate extremely well on the first unit power play as well, and they have a great matchup versus a Washington team who I have as the worst defensive team on this slate, ranking 7th in high danger chances against per 60 over the last 10 games, and ranking as the worst team on the slate in expected goals against per 60. So a real good spot for Philly to hopefully put up a few goals. I could definitely see this game being high scoring. And I want a lot of exposure to it. So Sean Couturier, big fan of him at 6.7K. And then scrolling down a little bit, one guy I wanted to mention is Brayden Schenn. He's got the DL tagged by his name, and this video is still being recorded a bit early, but all signs are pointing towards him playing this game. He's been out for a while with an upper body injury, but he will slot back on this St. Louis first line, which prior to him getting hurt was absolutely dominating. And since he got hurt, they've still been good. They've been rotating a third person through here, but it's not been Brayden Schenn. And you're getting an extremely discounted price on him because he has been a little bit banged up. Another reason I like him is that the center position today is kind of weak for me. I like Couturier, I like O'Reilly, I like Kuznetsov. You can obviously play the top guys, but it's not as strong as some other days. And so I think coming down here and getting some value in Brayden Schenn in a great matchup versus Anaheim, who I also have as being one of the worst defensive teams on the slate in a bigger sample size. I think that's a great move as well. Moving on to winger, of course, we have Alex Ovechkin leading the way. The one note I want to make on Alex Ovechkin is he actually has a fairly difficult 5v5 matchup versus Philly. Philly has been 17th in the league high danger chances against per 60 at 5v5 over the past 10 games, which isn't great, but it's pretty good. And over the season, they've been, I believe, the 5th or 6th best defense at 5v5. But where they really struggle is on the penalty kill, where they rank 5th from the bottom. And that's and as you guys know, the primary spot that Ovi's gonna explode in games is on the power play. That's gonna give him those real 2-3 goals upside. So if Philly takes a few penalties, I could definitely see Ovi punishing them. So if you have the salary to pay up for, he's definitely my top option over the two Toronto centers. Coming down a bit farther, though, I really like Claude Giroux at 6'4". I've already touched on Couturier and Giroux and how much I like them, but just to touch on Giroux, leading them in ICorsi 4 per 60. their best offensive weapon. So it's a given that I would like him in this great spot versus Washington. And then scrolling down a bit farther, I have a couple value guys listed. The one that I'll give away, one is Oscar Lindblom, but I've already talked about Philly enough. So the other guy I'll talk about is Josh Lavo right here at 2.9K. So a little bit of reverse line movement coming in on Vancouver. Or I guess not anymore. Earlier in the morning, there was some reverse line movement coming on Vancouver. And I could see that coming back just because Toronto hasn't been that great of a defensive team. As you guys can see, high danger chances against per 60 the last 10 games. Toronto 10th in the league. Vancouver 11th in the league. So Toronto not a great defensive team, especially on the road. And they play up in pace. So this is a pace up spot for all these Vancouver guys, which is usually a term you hear in NBA, but it's applicable in hockey as well. And the note with Josh Lavo is I actually don't even know how to pronounce his name, if it's Lavo or Levo, but he is skating on the second line, which is really the top line of Elias Peterson and Brock Besser, and he correlates with him on the first unit power play, which is a really cushy role for a guy who's 2.9K, probably going to skate around 17, 18 minutes. Again, for 2.9K, that's a steal. So a big fan of him for some value to let you afford some of those top guys. Defense, I have the top option for me listed as John Carlson. Really want to take advantage of this Philly penalty kill being really, really bad. John Carlson, another guy who's in a great spot to take advantage of that. If it's not a shot from the Ovi spot, it's probably John Carlson. And if it's not, and shots from the Ovi spot typically are sent to him by John Carlson. So makes for a great stack because he'll most likely get an assist on any Ovi power play goal. And then coming down a little farther, where is he gone? We have 3K, Troy Stecher. So Troy Stecher listed at 3K. This is kind of dependent on Ben Hutton remaining out. As you guys know, Alexander Edler returned last game and skated about 23 minutes. I like him a lot on FanDuel more so than DraftKings. On FanDuel, he's still underpriced. He's listed at 4K on FanDuel. Love him over here. But on DraftKings, Troy Stecher is actually like 2.2K cheaper, getting that second unit power play run. And with Ben Hutton out, he's still going to skate like over 25 minutes. As you saw last game, he skated 26 minutes. I think he makes for a fine value play. And again, the spots that we've been targeting for multiple years versus Toronto and Minnesota have been defensemen. They give up an increased amount of attempts from the blue line, which tends to increase a defenseman's shot floor, which in turn increases their overall floor. And then, since it is such a pace-up spot versus Toronto, you can sort of there's no way to sort of quantify this, but you could give him a little boost in projected block shots, especially for a guy like Alexander Edler, who's going to have to get in front of a ton of pucks, similar to how he had to versus Vegas last game. Let's move on to goalie. So speaking of goalie, I have a couple guys listed. Not too much to talk about. I would say look at your team. Correlate your team with your goalie so that if your players do well, your goalie gets the win. I think Jordan Binnington's in an interesting spot here with some line movement in his favor versus a bad Anaheim team. St. Louis suppresses shots, so he may not see too many saves, but he should be in line for the win. I like Marc-Andre Fleury as well at home. I always like Vegas at home. They always seem like a lock to win and win by multiple goals. They have a really tough matchup versus Calgary, but still projected for 3.3 goals. Marc-Andre Fleury still a minus 145 favorite. So I'm a big fan of him here. And with that being said, guys, thank you so much for checking out this video. As always, please do leave a like, leave a comment. You will be entered into that giveaway. I hope you guys win a ton of money tonight, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Peace.